This is Leslie Asoyan for another great show of Better Wethersfield. Today is Thursday, July 28th, 2016, and we have a really great show for you tonight. It's a really interesting topic that some folks out there I think are really going to be happy to watch the program. Our program tonight is on Griefshare, and we have the two co-facilitators here in the Marlborough area, and that is Wendy Worley and Donna Bernard, and they're going to talk a lot about the program and a little bit of the history and what the program's all about. So I'm going to turn it over to Wendy, and she's going to give us a little background of Griefshare and the program.
Hi Wendy, thanks for being with us.
Hi Leslie, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Griefshare started in 1998 by a company called Church Initiative. And the premise was to help people through the loss of a loved one. You know, you go to the funeral, you have the wake, you go to the funeral, some people have memorials today. People come over, they're always in your home, you have the flowers, the cards, people bringing dishes, everything that goes along with the loss of a loved one. You know, the support that you get from your friends and family. Right. And then all of a sudden, you know, 2-3 weeks, a month later, nobody's there. So Griefshare started as 13 sessions and with different topics to help people through their grief. And it provides biblical concepts for healing. Okay. It's a non-denominational. You don't have to be a specific religion or go to a specific church to attend.
Okay. So what made you get involved in Griefshare?
Well, I work in hospice. I work for Masonicare. I can give a little plug for Masonicare.
Right.
And it was just really something that was laid on my heart to, you know, I help families and patients through the dying process when somebody is facing a terminal illness, but I'm not part of the bereavement process after the loved one passes. So I found this on the website. I Googled different grief programs, and this came up to host out of our church, and I asked Donna if she would like to be part of it, and she agreed, and this is our 3rd year.
Oh, that's wonderful. So do you work at Masonicare also?
Yes, I'm a hospice volunteer.
Oh, wonderful.
So I also spend time visiting with clients and patients that are going through the dying process. And this is a way that we can continue to help the family, those that are left behind in dealing with the loss.
Okay. So what does co-facilitator mean? What does facilitator mean in respects to Griefshare?
Facilitating is basically just steering the sessions, not necessarily taking over. We want the people that come to the sessions to be the voice.
Right.
And there's a workbook and that we guide them through. Donna will do one portion one week, and I'll do another portion. So we alternate back and forth on, you know, what we want to lead that week.
Okay.
So we're not, they're doing the talking.
Okay. The folks that are in the grief.
The people that are part of the group. They're the ones that are going through the experience, and they're the ones who we focus on as far as their emotions, you know, the journey that they're having and how they can express that in whatever form, talking, crying, being angry.
Yeah. Typically, how many people do you see in a group each week?
Well, our average groups have been between 5 and 8, but we can have a group larger than that, and we just break up to several small groups when there's twice when we have discussions. The format of the group, you arrive and you greet each other. The first week Wendy and I usually share our grief experiences and what has led us to work in this area of grieving or the hospice direction. And so then after the first week, there's usually homework that the participants have done in their workbook that they get when they sign up and come to the program. And so we'll break up into small groups if we have more than 8 people and discuss what they experienced during the week, how they felt about answering these questions, and what the video the previous week made them feel or experience. Because everyone is in a different place in their grief. Someone who has been through grief for 60 or 90 days is definitely not going to be the same as another person that is in their place of grief even 60 to 90 days because of their individual situations.
Right.
After we have this short discussion, we then go and watch the next video. And that lasts about 45 minutes.
So each week there's a video
Yes.
that you watch, okay.
Yes. And in the video, there's many people, many different people from different walks of life that share their grieving experiences. And they can be anything from the passing of an elderly parent to someone that committed suicide or someone that was murdered. And a lot of time they talk about their loss and how it has impacted their life because they want to encourage, since everyone's journey is different, they want to normalize for people that whatever their specific journey is, that someone else has had a similar experience. So to take away from that hope that you will be able to get past this pain and this sometimes agonizing process of dealing with having lost a loved one. After that short discussion, it's been about an hour and a half, and then we adjourn and meet the next week.
Okay. And then, well, let me just backtrack just a little bit. Do people really have to talk? Like, what if someone's coming and they don't feel comfortable yet, or?
We only encourage people to share what they feel like sharing. Okay. And we would never put anyone in a spot. We don't call on people and say, well, what did you experience?
Right.
Okay.
And we also discourage what's called crosstalk, because if someone's describing an experience they're having, someone else might jump in and say, oh, well, I know exactly what you're saying because that happened to my Aunt Kathy when she was experiencing loss. But we really encourage the participants to focus on their own grief and understand that their experience is very different from anyone else's experience.
So that's crosstalk, what you're saying.
Yeah.
Just keep it centered just on your own. Your own grief. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
And so the meetings are an hour and a half each week, so you watch a video each week for 45 minutes, and then you have a group discussion, go over the homework, which is probably something that's cathartic for a lot of people, to be able to write things down and go over it.
Yes.
Okay. And then the whole program is 13 weeks total.
Yes.
Now, is there a cost for the program?
It's a $15 one-time fee, and you get a workbook that has the homework in it, and then different tips as you go through your grief.
Okay.
And the program is not sequential. You know, you don't have to come at week 1, 2, 3. You can come at week 1 and then week 5. You can come into the middle of the program at week 6, go to 13, and then come back and view the first part of it, lesson 1, 2, 3. You don't have to start at 1 if you don't feel that you're ready to do that. And one thing that I want to kind of backtrack about Donna and I, we can't facilitate this group unless we've experienced the loss of a loved one.
Okay.
because we wouldn't be able to show empathy. We could show sympathy, certainly, and feel bad that somebody's lost, a loved one, but we wouldn't know what it was like to walk in their shoes if we hadn't gone through it ourselves.
Now, did you have to go through any additional training or anything? Or?
Yes, there's an introduction video for us. There's
Okay.
a book that we read through.
Okay.
There's an excellent support group that
Okay.
we have that's part of Griefshare. We can go online and post any type of questions or
Okay.
any concerns that we may have.
Right,
and
right.
It's an international program. It's just not national. It's an international program, so it's all over the world, and we get support from people
Wonderful.
all over the world.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: where are the groups held?
Our group is held at Fellowship Community Church, which is at 24 South Road in Marlborough. You can go on griefshare.org if somebody is interested
Okay.
in coming to one of the groups, and you put in your zip code, and they'll give you all the groups in your area
Okay.
that are either ongoing or are coming up in the future.
So, as facilitators, can you run a group in any of the churches that you would like, or is it just dedicated to one that you've chosen? Or
Well, we go to Fellowship Community Church in
Okay, so that's your-
Marlborough.
okay.
So it's really an outreach, a community outreach of
Okay.
our church. So we would just facilitate it from our church,
Okay.
or the community center in town.
right. Now, do you find that you mainly see your parishioners that are from your church, or is it just a bunch of different people that are grieving and then want an outlet?
Initially, when we first started the program, which we're just starting our third year, the group was mostly made up of the parishioners from our congregation, but then they would tell friends,
Right.
or they would share with, they might mention that they're going to something called Griefshare, and someone that doesn't go to the church might say, oh, what is that?
Right.
Or we also have business cards and brochures that we give out, so that if you meet someone, sometimes you can be in the line at Dunkin' Donuts or the bank, and someone that you know or may not know, you may find out that they've experienced a loss,
Right.
and that then you can give them the business card, which has our email on it, which is griefsharefcc@gmail.com. It also has the website for the organization, which we said was griefshare.org. And so that way we can get the word out into the community. And we also advertise in our local paper, which is the River East.
Okay.
And so we're doing as much as we can to get the word out that this support group is there. And it could be someone that you lost, like I said, 60 to 90 days. But we've also had people come that have had a loss many years ago that they never had the opportunity to mourn and process all the emotions, and have felt very stuck for many years. And this kind of allows them to move along emotionally.
Gives them an outlet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed when I was looking at the website and it talked about who should come to the group or who can come. Can we talk about that a little bit and just so we have it specifically noted, the types of folks that are this program is mostly geared to?
We get people from all walks of life, all ages, all different denominations, who have lost loved ones, spouses, children, through terminal illnesses, accidents, unexpected deaths. It's geared to anyone who has lost a member of their family, a friend, a loved one, and they're just not getting through it. They can't deal with life on a daily basis without crying, without being sad, A lot of the video touches upon people staying in bed, for days on end, not being able to face life. And the video talks about, which I really like, is that just get up and get a bottle of water. Make that your goal for the day. That's it. It talks about being normal. Is the grief that you're going through normal? It talks about what do you do when people think they're saying the right things, but it just cuts you to the core. How do you ask for help? Anger, guilt and anger at God. Why did you do this? If you're so wonderful and you're all powerful, why did you take my son, or why did you take my daughter? Why didn't you stop this horrible thing from happening? I mean, we look at a gentleman called me who lost his wife in 9/11, who can't get past it. He just can't get past it. So it touches on that's being stuck. There's a video about being stuck, not being able to get past the lost one. It talks about heaven, which gives, I think, joy to know, that there's a place that your loved one is, that even though you're here on earth and you're feeling sad that they're not with you, they're in this wonderful place, and then what do they do now? Okay, now that I've gone through all these sessions and I've gotten all this information, what do I do? And also redefining yourself, like Joe the widow. And am I always going to be Joe the widow? Okay. Or can I be Joe, the carpenter? This one gentleman on the video had always wanted to be an actor. So he went to California and he found an agent, and he's been in plays, he's been in movies,
Wonderful.
He's been in commercials, and he's
Fantastic.
just totally redefined his whole life. So it really has brought people up, out of the pit of grief and helped them to move on.
Do you find that some folks need more than the 13 sessions? Do they come another 13 sessions and then do some come again?
Yes.
Or do you find that they come?
We have had people that have been in they started with us at our first session and have repeated. And it is a good support to do that because the process of mourning can be so long and so different for everyone. And so you are welcome to come and continue your journey as long as you're still in that process. I know that you asked, what kind of people or who is this really geared to? And there's lots of losses in life. There's loss of a spouse through divorce or a loss of a job. But this, we really focus on the losing of a person out of our life through death.
Okay.
And so we're not trained, or the material isn't appropriate for going through the loss of a spouse through divorce.
Okay. Right.
However, Church Initiative, which is the parent organization that came up with the program, they do have programs. They have one for divorce, they have one for children of divorce, and they have one for single parenting, and I do believe they have more. Right. So if you either Google Church Initiative or you go on to Griefshare and find a link to Church Initiative and you have those needs, you may be able to find a program at a church in the area as well.
Okay. Right. And I did notice when I went on to griefshare.org that a church in our town, Wethersfield, does this program, and it's First Church of Christ on Main Street in Wethersfield, Mondays from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., and that goes from June 6th to September 12th. That's locally to us in Wethersfield. But Wendy and Donna actually run this particular program out of the Fellowship Community Evangelical Church, 24 South Road in Marlborough. And So if you can always go there, meeting them through the television on this program.
We have dates for our next session also.
Okay, and I think you did tell me they were, it's coming up September 8th, Thursdays. Their next program in Marlborough is September 8th, Thursdays. It's one time per week. It's for 13 weeks, and it ends on December 8th. So please feel free to reach out to them. It's griefshare.org, and their phone number, you can reach Wendy directly at 860-338-1060. Or email griefshare, F as in Frank, C as in cat, at gmail.com. That's griefsharefcc@gmail.com. On their website, too, let me just tell you that, is fccefree.com.
I'd just like to add that we will be having a special one-time event on November 6th at 1 o'clock at our church. And again at 6:30 at the Marlborough Senior Center, and it is called Surviving the Holidays. And the video and the discussion focuses solely on the difficulty of getting through the holidays without your loved one.
And how long is that?
It's 2 hours at the church from 1 to 3.
Okay.
The one in the evening at the Senior Center is from 6:30 to 8, just an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm. And also, I just want everyone to know that the professionals on the video are psychologists, they're pastors, they're elders of their churches, they're counselors.
Okay.
They're very well versed. The two people that host it have lost children. They've been doing this since the inception of the video in 1998. So there are professionals that they will see on the video to help them along through their journey.
What about any kind of volunteering? What if someone wanted to become a co-facilitator? How would they go about that?
Through the program, once they've gone through the program, they've gone through Griefshare.
Okay.
And they've gone through the journey. Not that, they're going to go through these sessions and they're not going to think about their loved one or not have the up and downs of feeling the loss of the loved ones, but have gone through the program and have really come to terms with a lot of the different areas of grief. They can be a facilitator. That's how most of the groups continue, with people that have gone through the group and then they feel that they want to give back and they want to reach out to those in grief.
Okay. And did you go through the program?
Yes, I did. I went through the program. I've had multiple losses in the past 5 years.
I'm sorry.
So, thank you. So, yes, it was important for me to go through the program initially before I began to co-facilitate with Wendy.
Did you just do it the one time?
Yes, I did.
And what happens when the 13 weeks are over? What is the period of time from when one session ends and another one begins?
We usually have one in the fall that is starting in September.
Okay.
And then we'll take a break during the holidays and we'll have another one in the spring.
Okay.
But there are sessions going on all the time.
Okay.
So if there's somebody with that break, in that break period, that needs another area, another session to go to, we can find them another session. Like you said, there was the First Church in Wethersfield.
Right.
There's another one that goes on also in Colchester at Christian Life Chapel.
Okay.
So there's several in the area that they could go to.
And all of the programs are held at a church, because I remember you were telling me that it's an outreach ministry of the church, and so
Yes.
and it's faith-based, but you don't have to be religious.
Right.
That's really not.
No, it's non-denominational, and the concepts are biblical that provide healing while you're going through this journey.
And when someone, and we're going to wrap it up soon, but so if someone comes through the 13 weeks and they want to come again, say for instance they go through the 13 weeks and they think that they're feeling pretty good, but decide that maybe a year goes by and they want to come again. They can come again.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter the period of time that.
No.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Or also people experience additional losses.
Right.
And each loss is a different experience. Just because you have lost a spouse or a parent, you know, or how they, through illness, or each time it's different. So they may need to come and they get something different. Even though this is what's neat about the videos, we're going into our third year, and I still sit there,
I do too.
watch enwrapped in the video, because each time I see it, I get, there's so much packed into that video that I will take away something additional that will help me, not only
agree.
through whatever I have left of my grieving,
Right.
but in preparation for possibly additional losses in the future.
And plus, you're meeting new people each time too,
Right. Yes.
so that gives you,
Yeah.
you know, different experiences, parallel
Right.
experiences. But that's probably the good part of it too, in terms
Yeah.
of the healing. I can
Yeah.
imagine.
Yes.
Any final comments that you'd like to make about Griefshare?
No, the program actually, the Griefshare program is called From Your Journey from Mourning to Joy. And that's pretty much the foundation of the message, that even though in the sadness and the grief and the anguish, that working through it at some point in that journey can provide joy in your life.
And you two seem to be living proof.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
I mean, I've met you a couple times, and you're always so happy. So that's wonderful to see. Okay, let me just
you.
highlight again, griefshare.org, griefshare.org, 860-338-1060. That's Wendy directly. And the Fellowship Community Evangelical Church in Marlborough, their email is griefsharefcc@gmail.com. And if you have any questions, you can call Wendy directly. You can go to the website and put in your zip code and find out where a local program is being held at one of the churches. And that's our show for this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. We're happy to have you as an audience, and if you're interested in having a show on community television, you can check us out at WCTV14.com, or you can call our office directly, and our producer will put up that number as well. Thank you, and have a great evening.